When we last left Ethan Cole, his spacecraft had been struck by something impossible. The damaged antenna left him cut off from Earth, and strange alien markings glowed faintly on the hull. Now, drifting in silence, he has to fight not only for survival, but for answers. What was that signal, and why did it feel directed at him? Before we dive deeper into this mystery, make sure you subscribe, because things are about to get darker, stranger, and far more dangerous than anything in Episode 1. Ethan's breath fogged inside his helmet as he checked the oxygen gauge. Each inhale reminded him the supply wasn't infinite. Astronauts know oxygen is life, but few realize how fragile it is in space. Every leak, every miscalculation could be fatal. He had used more than planned during his frantic repairs in Episode 1. Now, rationing became critical. Would you breathe deeply for calm, or shallow to stretch time? The smallest decision carried the weight of life and death. Inside the cockpit, the ship's navigation system flickered. Normally, star trackers lock onto constellations, comparing them to a database to guide the vessel. But tonight, the stars seemed wrong. Some coordinates shifted unpredictably, as if the sky itself was being rewritten. Was it a malfunction, or was something warping space around him? He ran diagnostics, fingers trembling. Lights blinked, failed, and returned, like a heartbeat on the edge of collapse. Was his ship betraying him, or warning him? Communication was supposed to be Ethan's lifeline. Even with delays, Earth could send guidance, comfort, orders. But now, the silence stretched endlessly. He rerouted power to the half-broken antenna, risking what little energy reserves he had left. Static filled the cabin, waves of noise washing over him. Then, for a fraction of a second, something emerged. A pattern, not random static, but a pulse, repeating like a message. Was it Earth trying to reach him, or something else entirely? The pattern returned, clearer this time. A series of long and short bursts, almost like Morse code. Ethan scribbled notes, matching the rhythm. It didn't fit human protocols, but it felt intentional, intelligent. His pulse quickened. Could this be the first contact humanity had always dreamed of? Or was it a lure, bait to pull him deeper into the void? Alone in the dark, he wondered, if you heard a signal no one else could, would you answer? Hours in zero gravity wear on the human body. Muscles weaken, bones lose density, and every small movement feels like swimming through molasses. Ethan strapped himself into the exercise harness, forcing his body to push against invisible resistance. Sweat floated in shimmering droplets around his face. Isolation gnawed at him, but discipline kept him sane. Yet even as he worked, he felt eyes on him, though there was no one else aboard. Stress, or something more sinister? Radiation meters ticked faintly in the background. Beyond Earth's magnetic shield, every astronaut faces a storm of invisible bullets from the cosmos. Prolonged exposure can damage DNA, increase cancer risk, even cloud the mind. Ethan checked the readings and froze. Levels had spiked dramatically after the alien markings appeared on his hull. Was the signal somehow altering the ship's shielding? Or was the hull itself no longer what it seemed? The unknown pressed closer, invisible and deadly. Ethan floated back to the viewing port, staring at the markings etched into the metal. They pulsed faintly, as though alive. He traced them with his gloved hand, and for an instant, the ship trembled. A flash of light filled the cabin, disorienting him. When his vision cleared, the stars outside shifted again. It wasn't just navigation failing. Space itself was twisting. What force had carved those symbols, and why did they react to his touch? Determined, Ethan opened a new log entry, speaking into the recorder. Mission Day 12. Oxygen reserves critical. Navigation unreliable. Possible non-human signal detected. His voice cracked. Astronauts are trained to remain calm, but loneliness is a predator in space. He thought of his daughter back on Earth, her laughter, her drawings taped inside his locker. Would she ever hear his voice again? The thought clawed at him, threatening to break his focus. He forced himself to continue. The ship's lights flickered off. Darkness swallowed him. For a moment he drifted in absolute silence, tethered only by the sound of his own heartbeat. Then, dim emergency lights glowed red, painting the cabin like a wound. The air recycler coughed, sputtered, then steadied. His survival systems were failing, one by one. Was this simple mechanical decay, or deliberate sabotage? If someone had wanted him to fail, who and why? The question burned hotter than fear itself. He floated toward the storage bay, prying open compartments for emergency supplies. Instead of reassurance, he found more unease. Missing tools, tampered seals, a ration pack half opened. He wasn't alone when he launched. Someone had planned for this. Every astronaut trusts their crew on Earth with their life. But trust is fragile. If the mission had been sabotaged from the start, Ethan wasn't just facing the void. He was playing someone else's game. The signal returned, louder this time, shaking the panels. Ethan clutched the console as symbols appeared on his screen, symbols identical to those on the hull. They weren't random. They were instructions, coordinates. His navigation system overrode itself, aligning with a distant point beyond any planned course. His ship was being steered, not by him, not by Earth, but by something unknown. Would you follow a path laid out by alien hands, or fight against it? Ethan tried manual override. The joystick resisted, like the ship itself wanted to obey the signal. Sweat dripped into his eyes. "Not yet," he whispered, wrestling the controls. For a moment, the engine sputtered under his command, straining against the alien pull. But the harder he fought, the stronger the guidance became. It was no longer just data. It was a force. Was it trying to save him from disaster or drag him into one? Exhausted, Ethan slumped back in his seat, breathing shallow to save oxygen. He played the recording of the signal again. Beneath the coded pulses, he heard something new. A voice. Faint, distorted, but undeniably human. A woman's voice. He froze, heart hammering. Was it his daughter's? Or was it a trick designed to break him? The line between reality and hallucination blurred. If you heard someone you love calling from the stars, would you follow? The ship lurched violently. A shadow passed across the stars, enormous, blocking entire constellations. Ethan's jaw dropped as a structure, vast, alien, and silent, loomed ahead. The coordinates had led him here. His console lit up with warnings. Radiation overload, oxygen critical. But none of it mattered, because etched into the side of the colossal structure was a symbol he had seen before, tattooed on his father's arm. Ethan's world shattered. Was this mission ever about exploration, or something far more personal? Subscribe now, because Episode 3 will change everything.